Okay, this is Monday, December 4th, 2017 at 6 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the Village Board of the Village of Pulaski held at Pulaski Village Hall, 585 East Glenbrook Drive, Pulaski, Wisconsin. Could I have roll call, please?
Bruce Birchkowski.
Present.
Roger Birchkowski.
Present.
Robert Gajewski.
Here.
Doug Prentice.
Present.
Chris Smith.
Here.
Robert Van Lannen.
Here.
And Reed Woodward.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 2, could I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
By Chris,
I'll second.
by Bruce. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 3, a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 560-17 and ordinance amending section 51.18 sub D of the municipal code ordinances regarding conditional uses in institutional district to allow single-family and multi-family residential use as a conditional use.
I'll make that motion.
By
I'll second.
seconded by Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All the best. You know, there was a recommendation from the planning and zoning that this be recommended to the board. It wasn't a unanimous vote, I think, 5-3. And this will basically allow the Gorman company that wants to use up the rest of the friary that the library isn't going to use. And they project there to be 40 individual living units created, and no more than 7 of them would be low income or assisted, you know. And Gormans can't proceed without this in place because they are going to be applying for state and federal tax funding to help get the project done. So this is just something we need to do to allow them to compete for that grant money.
Did Kristen have any more conversation with Gorman or library as far as how things are
Well, they
proceeding?
needed this in place before they could apply.
Right.
So, and that's why we're doing this probably a year before they're going to be able to proceed.
To proceed, okay.
At one point, there was residential there, but it was institutional residential.
Correct.
I see this as an opportunity to bring some foot traffic to downtown. I don't know if that would help some smaller shops flourish, but it certainly couldn't hurt it, so.
Very sure it'll help Morales out pretty well.
Yep.
Be right across the street,
Mhm.
basically. What I didn't know until we started researching, there's about 40 acres behind the Franciscans that's already R5.
Residential.
And that was done in 2006.
2006, yeah. There was a gentleman by the name of Bill Sino. He designed like 55 years and older. And then that fell through because they didn't want the 100-year lease on the Franciscan property. They wanted to purchase it, so. And then they had a road going in like right across from Pine Street, and then they were working on trying to get a road off of North Wisconsin Street. And then that fell through. That didn't proceed any further, but we did go through and rezone that piece. And also, when you look under planning and zoning, like Reed said, there was a roll call vote. There were 3 that voted no and then there's a partial in this. If this amendment is approved, this ordinance 56017 by the village board, either the Friars or Gorman would still need to apply for a conditional use permit. And then Kristen is working on that historic grant, which that's kind of up in the air because of some of the policies that the state has set.
Could you explain the conditional use permit just briefly?
No,
No?
I don't. That's, there's stipulations in reference to the building inspector, and like Reed
If something
said,
isn't specifically provided for in the ordinance, the board, upon the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning or Zoning Board of Appeals, can modify and add a conditional use to the ordinance.
Okay,
Did I say it right, Bill?
Yeah, if you look at each one of the districts, there is a list of conditional uses that can be put on. And then if you go through that list, usually the last one in that list will say kind of a generic one, something that is consistent with the foregoing, subject to approval by the zoning administrator. So it's a way to tailor a district to a specific need, or vice versa, to tailor that need to the district. But it would be something that's otherwise prohibited, but the board can allow it to happen on certain conditions. So they may require additional parking, or it may require different setbacks or things out of the, but it's a way to adjust the ordinance to accommodate something that would otherwise fit, but for some odd reason it doesn't.
well, actually, that's good then, because the three individuals that voted no, had some concerns, and very valid concerns. So this would be kind of for them to rebound and say, well, sure, we'll go along with it if this conditional use applies. And so it's really a good thing. So
The people that voted no aren't necessarily against the project. They're against bringing more apartments. Because, one of them was a retired police officer, and he says those apartments often have people that give us an awful lot of work.
Yeah.
And that's,
well, very valid concern.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, any other discussion by the board? Not, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 560-17.
So move.
No, I need a first and a second.
I think Roger and Bob did it
Okay,
at the same time.
okay. Roger and Bob seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Number 5, approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of November 6, 2017, and the special board meeting of 11/27/2017. And dispense with the reading.
So moved.
Bruce?
Second.
Bob Van Lennon? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Number 6, persons desiring to be heard. Persons desiring to be heard. Third time, persons desiring to be heard. You'll be, well, you're in a specific agenda item, so we'll get you soon.
Okay.
Thank you. Committee reports, Planning and Zoning Commission of November 15, 2017. Informational only, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of ordinance 56-17, and if this amendment is approved by the village board, either the Friars or Gorman will still need to apply for a conditional use permit. Next, Committee of the Whole, Budget Workshop number 4 was held November 15, 2017. There was progress made on the 2018 budget. Next, the Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee of November 20th, 2017. Chris?
We just had a little discussion about the Franciscans and that printery building, and we had quite a discussion that day in regards to that. But also, some of the projects that that I can update on is that the Country Villas are going to be adding 12 units, an additional 86 units of apartments over by Cobblestone. And we talked about the trailer park expanding and a couple other things, but those were really positive points that came out of the meeting. Our next meeting will be held on, we're skipping December, and we'll be meeting on January 22nd at noon at Premier. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Chris. Committee of the Whole Budget Workshop number 5 was November 20th, 2017, and they worked on, again, proposed the 2018 budget, and they successfully hit the budget goals that we wanted. When all is said and done, the tax bill for the Pulaski will go down like 1.6%. So I think we did a good job. The board did a really good job of just trying to hit that target. And because of that, we had a committee of the whole budget meeting workshop number 6 scheduled for the next day. Because we were successful on the 20th, we were able to cancel the meeting on the 21st. NEW Paramedic Public Safety Board, November 27th. Bob?
We had our meeting on the 27th to give the report. For September, there was 51 calls with 21 in the village. October, 44 calls with 27 in the village. For a total for 472 so far for the year, and 252 for the village. They said we're putting a lot of miles on that vehicle,
Yeah.
but every day. So then they went into finances, and boy, it don't look good. For the month of October, they wrote off $4,181. For the year, so far, they wrote off $42,880. That write-off. We budgeted $24,800 for write-off. They don't know why people aren't paying their bills on it. It just, nobody's paying the bill. They give them to the agents and stuff, and they just, nobody's paying them. So that's why we went up a little percentage for next year's budget, but this year was really hurting with bad. But that's the way it is so far. Then he went into, he's got the whole inside of the building painted. He's gonna go look for some new drapes and stuff for the windows. Sometime this, I don't know when. The next thing, we got a grant from the Emergency Medical Service for a little over $5,000. It's in there, we can spend half for training and half for unbudgeted vehicle equipment. And we found out the lesser first responders and EMTs are going to start a course in January. And see, that goes through the lesser fire department. And we made them an offer. We don't know if they're going to take it up. We would pay for some of their training if they would in turn put some hours here, because they work, when we got a call out there, they're out on the call anyway. If they would come and pull some hours. So they're going to discuss that at that to see if they'll oblige by it or not.
Okay.
If they do, that'll help us a lot.
Good.
Then the next thing, we can use half for training, but we don't know. There's some of the overtime is put in training people, if we can use some of this money for that or if not. So they're gonna have to call the state and see how they allow us to use it for training. If they allow us to use it, then we can use maybe some of that and offset some of the bad part of it. The last thing, I sent this around because it's all Greek to me. It's,
Mark understands it.
Mark, let you explain it, Mark.
Well, basically what I'm making out of this, and I don't know the details of it, but
It looks like it's gonna be a mobile data terminal program, and it looks like an interface with some of their equipment. From what I'm getting out of it, Zoll is a company that makes defibrillators and many other products, and I'm guessing that there's some type of an interface to do the internet that's required. We use a lot of this technology today in law enforcement, and my guess is that some of this is probably gonna help them transmit data to the hospitals.
Right.
To let them see real time what's going on with the patient's care, maybe even defibrillator monitor stuff. I know that the technology is possible, but I don't know what they have in their squads. Obviously, I'm guessing at some of this, but I would think this is all gonna be required at some point in time, because that's the way we're going in the world. With, data being transmitted and computerized stuff, so it's all through the computer system.
Well, the way they said, they track that ambulance wherever it is and tell them exactly where to go and stop, and all the work they're doing in the ambulance while they're en route, and it's pretty sophisticated piece of equipment, I think.
Well, yes, and if it does interface with your cardiac monitors and so on and so forth, it's telling in real time what's going on to the physician that may be at the other end, you know, if this is interfaced, which I believe it would be.
Yeah. So we're looking at option one. We couldn't do too much because it wasn't on the agenda. But we're looking at option one to use that half of that grant for that.
Yes.
But the next thing, this was a quote in November, and we aren't having a meeting till January, and they were supposed to see if they would hold that price until the 1st of February. And I haven't heard anything if they'll agree to hold the price till the 1st of February till we have a meeting to okay it, but they're looking to go for option one because it is a big upgrade according to them right there.
Yeah, and I do know firsthand from experience that if you don't take an update that when it's available, your equipment quickly becomes obsolete.
Well, that's what, according to option three on here, that was would be obsolete. And then he did say some of the mounts, he could probably find some used ones. It's just a mount, it isn't that, this is the quote of everything new, so. So we aren't gonna have a meeting till January unless they have to have emergency one to okay this. That was it for us there.
Thanks a lot, Bob. Moving on to number 8, consider for approve and adopt ordinance 560-17, an ordinance amending section 5118D of the municipal code of ordinances regarding conditional uses in institutional 1 district to allow single-family and multifamily residential as a conditional use.
I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance 560-17.
By Doug,
I'll second.
second by Bruce. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 9, consider to approve the purchase of a portion of parcel VP-5 property located in the rear yard of 122 West Pulaski Street, Pulaski, Wisconsin. Rosemary Gajewski is the owner, and she is in the audience if you have any questions of her. Bill, you want to explain what we're going to do?
Yes, we're looking at purchasing, I think of the lot, it's long and narrow, and the village is looking at purchasing the southern, approximately 2/3 of the lot, and it would square off with the north line of the current parking lot. Because we're splitting the parcel, Robert E. Lee's office checked with the county to see if a CSM would be needed, and they found out that it was not. So they can go ahead and prepare the legal description to split that lot without going through the CSM process. And I believe that's from the email that I got today, that's what they're working on.
And it's in progress and should be completed very shortly.
Yeah, shouldn't be a very complicated legal description, but as soon as we have that, we can prepare the deed and we can close. So that's what we need, authorization tonight to move forward with going ahead and closing. I would suspect we'll do it before the end of the year. So.
Do we have a price already set?
Well, the assessed value is $4,400. She's going to keep a portion of it, and we said that we would, legal fees or the fees that are associated would be deducted from that amount.
Okay.
And either, if we have to remove the building, you know, we do that often. We would subtract whatever we have to pay for the, well, they just haul the stuff to McKeefery's. That's what I understand. And it'd be whatever the actual cost McKeefery
Okay.
charges. Rosemary, is that correct?
The way I understood it.
So, a motion to approve the purchase
I so move.
by Roger,
Second.
second by Bob Van Lanner. Any other discussion?
Can I just ask one, can I vote on this, or should I abstain? I can vote, okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Rosemary, you can stay for the rest of the meeting if you wish. Number 10, to consider to approve Class A liquor, wine only, and/or Class C wine only Chicks and Dip LLC, Limited Liability Company, Jennifer Rhodes Agent, 600 Johnson Street, Pulaski, and Norris Gray, 4008 Hazelwood Drive, Pulaski, Wisconsin, 54162, at Chips and Dip LLC, doing business as the Polish Chick Inn.
I like it.
At 1146 Mountain Bay Drive, Pulaski, Wisconsin, 54162. Current Class A liquor, wine only, Cindy B. Muther, agent at Mountain Bay Coffee and Gifts LLC, 1146 Mountain Bay Drive, Pulaski, Wisconsin, 54162.
What he has is, I'm gonna turn that over to Bill, because when I met with Jennifer and Nora, we talked through it, and they would like to have, being it's a gift shop, but they're also gonna be serving more restaurant foods too, sandwiches and so forth. And they would like to have the Class A liquor, wine only, as the gift shop like Cindy Muther currently has. And they would like to sell the gift bottles of wine, and they talked about the wine tasting when those would come to the village board for approval. Then they also start talking about having a Class C retail wine license with serving glasses of wine in their establishment. There are stipulations in reference to if they would have a bar area, then there's stipulations if they wouldn't have a bar area, and 50% gross sale of receipts and so forth. So I published it both ways in the paper and then turned it over to Bill Van Castle because I didn't know the answer to that.
All right, this is gonna make your head spin.
Oh, boy, good.
There are two different, so you've heard of Class A and Class B and Class C licenses. But when you get to Class A and Class B, there are two classes, Class A and Class B. And when you see them in the statutes and in the ordinances, there's one version that's quote, the word class, and then A, and then end of quote. There's another one that's class, quote, A, end of quote. They're different. And they mean different things, and they have different rules and different regulations for each one. And when you start going through this stuff, unless you have a cheat sheet to follow along as to which one means which, it gets to be a mess, because the rules are different as you progress through them. Essentially, they were designed to have one of them be for retail sales, like at a gas station or a liquor store or something like that, and the other is for sale out of a bar or tavern or whatever. But as you get into the finer points of it, they sort of blend together a little bit and they get mixed up. So what we're talking about here is the Class C wine would allow you to sell wine by the glass. Okay? And that there's only one version of Class C, and that's the quote class and then the word C inside quotes. There is no Class quote C end of quote. That's the only one that's pretty straightforward. But again, that's for sale of wine by the glass in and as Karen said, there's a different version inside of that for restaurants and non-restaurants. But essentially that allows for the sale of wine. It also, in the restaurant version, allows you to, if you didn't finish your bottle, so if you went to a restaurant, bought a bottle of wine for dinner and didn't finish it, you can buy the rest of that bottle. And again, that's under the Class C for a restaurant. There's rules that the restaurant has to seal it back up and whatever. But again, the Class C allows for the sale of wine. Then if there are restrictions on how you can combine these. So I gotta look too because I'm gonna mess this up. A quote Class A, end of quote, liquor license would allow for the retail sale of both liquor and wine in the original container for consumption off premises. So that's the liquor store one, where you can buy the bottles and take them home. You can't drink them there, you gotta take them home. The Class quote A, let me find it in here. That's for beer. So Class quote A, end of quote, authorizes the retail sale of beer and beer-based coolers in the original sealed container for consumption off premises. So the bigger word, the quote Class A, end of quote, is for alcohol and wine. And then Class quote A, end of quote, is for beer. But it's all for sale for consumption off premises. And here's where we run into the issue here from what Karen just described as the proposed business plan, where they want to be able to sell bottles for consumption off premises, as well as the sale of wine on the premises. Unfortunately, the statutes don't allow you to do that. You can do one, you can do the other, but you can't do both. There's a specific statute that says in the same premises you can't have a quote Class A, end of quote, which is liquor and wine, for sale off premises in the same premises that you're selling wine by the glass. And the same thing for beer. You can't sell beer for consumption off premises and also have a Class C wine license. Now there are ways around doing that, but if you had a bar that was selling beer, there are ways that they can also sell a six-pack to take off premises to consume. But when it comes to wine, the rules are that you can't do that. And a class, so if you had a wine license, the Class C wine license, there is now the ordinance or the statute is silent on whether you could sell beer for consumption off premises. So you could have a quote Class B license and a Class C license in the same premises. But again, remember the difference between, this is the beer one is the Class quote B, end of quote one, you could have that for off premises, and the same thing with the alcohol. And with alcohol and wine. But there isn't one that would allow you to sell wine by the glass and wine by the bottle in the same place. Again, we have an exception now that's authorized by statute where you can sell wine by the bottle and then you can have wine taste testing. And that's allowed. You can do the same thing with alcohol if you want. With booze, you can go to